Trading the foreign exchange market carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin, utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk that can lead to a complete loss of investment funds. So before deciding to trade the foreign exchange market or using any of our software alert products, you should carefully and diligently consider your personal investment objectives, level of experience, and risk tolerance. There is a possibility that you could potentially sustain significant loss. You should not invest any capital or trade that you cannot afford to lose. It is your responsibility to be aware of and understand all risks associated with foreign exchange trading and to seek professional advice from an independent certified financial advisor if you have any doubts. Auvoria Prime does not exercise trading authority over your trades. You and you alone exercise discretionary trading authority over every trade.
Welcome everybody to the call. Thank you all for tuning in on this beautiful Friday, wherever you are in the world. I know we have people calling in from all around the globe. We're going to get started here in about another 30 seconds. Take the time to go ahead and put in the chat where you're calling in from. Like I said, I know we're running a global business here in Auvoria Prime. And, we have customers in 90 countries and growing across the world. If you're on Zoom tuning in, awesome. If you're on Facebook Live or you're watching this, on YouTube, whatever it is, just thank you for being on the call here live with us today to tune into the insights that we're going to share, talk about some different accounts, share some different strategies, and go into a bunch of different things. But like I said, let us know where you're calling in from. We're going to get started here in about 30 seconds. And once you've let us know where you've called in from, go ahead and tell me in the chat box how much profit you made this week, as well as how much drawdown you might have gotten into, right? I want to know what your peak drawdown was. I want to know what pairs it's on right now, if you are in any significant drawdown. And I'd love to hear about the profits you guys made this week, so I know and can best gauge how the customer experience is going for all of you here and know where to go with this call so that I can best serve you and make sure that you continue to have a pleasant and incredible experience here using the GearBox software. But like I said, once again, let us know in the chat box your peak drawdown, what pairs, and your profit you made this week. And we're going to go ahead and get started here in another 30 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the chat and see what's going on. I see we have people tuning in from Croatia, Dubai, Canada, Nashville, New York, Rhode Island, Sweden, Central Florida, Winnipeg. I've never been to Winnipeg. That's awesome. New York, Queen Creek, Arizona, more New York, Ontario, Belgium. We have people from the Netherlands here. I'm not sure where Talon is. Wow, cool. Colorado. It's pretty awesome. South Carolina, thank you guys all for tuning into the call. Like I said, go ahead and let me know about your experience this week with GearBox, what drawdowns you got into, what profits you made, and we're going to go ahead and get this call started here in another 15 seconds. Awesome. So before we get started, I need to go ahead and read you this income disclosure so that we can get this call started. So first thing being said, trading using Forex analyst tools and software to assist you in trading carries a high level of risk. Only trade with capital that you can afford to lose. The information contained in this presentation is for informational purposes only. One should evaluate their risk tolerance and their personal financial situation before trading. If you are ever in doubt, please consult your own personal licensed financial advisor. Auvoria Prime LLC is not providing investment advice, as all trade opportunities are delivered to all participants uniformly without regard to an individual's trade objectives, financial condition, or suitability. Unless a user has made customized alert options privately on their own account to further analyze their own trade opportunities, these options are at full discretion of the user. So again, this means you have full control of your settings, your trades, your entire experience, and your risk tolerance. We do not choose that for you. That is up to you. Auvoria Prime LLC does not exercise any trading authority over your trades. You and you alone exercise discretionary trading authority over every trade. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to take a look and see, the results so far that some of you have shared this week, and we're going to get into it. So I first see Nick here shared it was his first week on a 1K demo and he made $70. That's absolutely incredible. I see Corey said he made $1,700 by Tuesday, but now he's floating in $1,900 drawdown from AUD JPY, NZD JPY, and AUD CHF, all sells on his 100K account. That's awesome. Glad to have you running a larger account here with us, Corey. I hope you're enjoying the results. Tim Wright said he only received one trade alert all week only. Well, I know that it was a week like that for some people. Devery said third week, this week, 0 profit, 500 drawdown. Yep, everyone's in a different experience. Philip said AUD pairs are in some drawdown. I see that. We're going to talk about that today as well. Adam said 1 week, Super Sniper H4, only one trade. Yep, sounds about right. It was definitely a slow week for some newer users. Ken said profit 8208, CHF JPY since 12.1 and Euro JPY since 12.1. Yep, I've seen some trades that have been lingering for over a month on some accounts, including some of my own. You know, the market has definitely been bizarre, and we're going to talk about that. Many pairs have been trending more than they typically ever have. I'm not sure if that has to do a lot with the US dollar, and JPY as well has been acting super weird. And we're gonna share some of that data and talk about what I've done to increase the experience here. Robert said around 5% monthly profit and 2.5% drawdown. That's awesome, Rob. You are doing great, especially you know, being December and November are some of the slowest trading months all year, and going into January, a lot of liquidity starts to pick up in about 2 days actually. So, you know, it's typically slow through most of December up until January 10th. So we're going to see a lot of liquidity picking back up in the marketplace here soon. Carrie said Buffalo, New York. She just started a 1K demo this week. She got out of the market yesterday with 2% profit for the week, and she had less than 1% drawdown. Carrie, that is awesome. Philip said Euro USD selling a lot of drawdown trades, been open since 11/24. Awesome. GearBox got me into an NZD sell trend a couple weeks ago, and now I'm in 30%. Should I let GearBox continue to manage this pair, get out? Brian, I can't tell you what to do. I'll show you. I have accounts that are also in that trade, and I'm letting them manage themselves as well. Thomas Love said this week he had a profit of 43 euros. Karina Hastings said profit 6.5%, drawdown 3.5%. She's been in NZD USD, AUD USD, and AUD CAD as well. Ken, only 5 new trades this week, sniper mode. Pamela, first week of 0 trades. For people who are experiencing 0 trades, I'm often gonna, wonder how many pairs are you running and scanning, and we might want to verify that everything is also set up correctly if you got 0 trades. Brent said little activity. Philip Howard said still made 350 for the week though. I'll take it. John said he's doing a test with $500 accounts. He's up $20 this week with an open trade with a drawdown of only $4.87. That is awesome, John. And Adam said, what will happen if we save ghost trades for the next week? Awesome. I see some questions. We'll get into the questions in the end. That's a great question, Adam. I will address that one later in the call. I just wanted to read some results so that you guys all know what we're going to talk about this week and get into the drawdowns, the profits, some of the different updates coming in the GearBox update today. And talk all about that. I see Bronson said he has 6% drawdown on AJ. A trade didn't close out from the setup last week due to a TP that wasn't updated. 16.5% on NJ and 6.5% DD and EA, 8% in GN. Awesome. I see that myself. Got 3 new smaller accounts this week. They all made 100 plus. Wow. Awesome, Philip. Ted said no trades this week. Awesome. That's awesome. Awesome. Molly, 4.6%. So let's get into it. I'm going to get into sharing some of the data here, and we're going to get right into this call. So with that being said, let me stop sharing my screen for a minute and switch it over to where we need to go here. All right. So first thing is let's get into talking a little bit about what's going on. I experienced one of my highest drawdowns on one of my larger accounts this week as well, and it's been a lingering trade for a while. It's been NZD JPY, AUD JPY, and NZD JPY. So you can see an AUD USD. You can see some of these pairs here that have been lingering on this account, and they've been experiencing this drawdown. So let's talk about it, right? I looked at that and I said, okay, these pairs are trending more than they ever have. So I went over to the 1 pair data, right? This is why we run $500 accounts. And the first thing is this is on swing data. So these pairs are entering in as soon as they can, pretty much the earliest entries. And the reason we do that is to see what any customer could be experiencing, especially with smaller accounts. And the first thing you notice is AUD USD took a big loss. AUD USD has definitely been trending. This is why I made announcements a few weeks ago to start looking for opportunities to exit the USD pairs. I continued running them on my smaller accounts because I wanted to get the data. I wanted to see exactly how it performed and how we could increase that experience. And the first thing is we have an update to the GearBox Manager coming out today that we've talked about. And that update to the GearBox Manager that we've talked about is having some entries increased on many pairs that have gotten into higher drawdown here. We're going to talk about that. So you see AUD USD, we're increasing the entry by +2 all around, meaning we're going to wait another 2 levels before we even enter an entry on swing. This means that swing is not even entering now until a level 4 trade on AUD USD or a gear 4. AUD JPY, the same thing. You see AUD JPY has gotten into an extremely high drawdown here for a little $500 account. So that told me, okay, we need to increase the AUD JPY entries all the way around as well for swing, sniper, and super sniper. So every entry is going up by +1 or +2 on those pairs. Same thing with the GBP pairs. All right, we wanted to increase some of those as well based around data. It made sense for us to start increasing some of these pairs. The other thing I've noticed is some customers, even though we did not have GBP CHF or Euro GBP in the setup instructions, I have noticed many customers were running those GBP pairs and we did not have programmed in settings for those. It would have just pulled a default setting and put them on those. So we've also programmed in all the GBP pairs into the updated GearBox manager, which will be rolling out later tonight. And with that being said, you'll also be able to have, better settings on those for your entries. Same with Euro USD and Euro JPY. I said, let's increase those entries by at least +1, make it a more precise entry. A lot of these pairs, especially the JPY and the USD pairs, they've been trending a lot more. Even the GBP, right? I just said, let's tighten up ship based on data, and let's just increase the precision of where we're going to actually enter a trade on many of these pairs. You see NZD USD, we went up by +2, and NZD JPY as well. So you're going to see an update to the GearBox manager. And when we roll that out later, if you want to update your entries, you can go ahead and reuse the manager, and it's going to go ahead and put the new entry settings on there. Or you can manually do it. It's all up to you. Again, you have full control. But obviously, for data sakes, we went ahead and we programmed everything to make the user experience easier for you to get set up, get new customers set up, as well as optimize your GearBox to fit the current market conditions that we have been experiencing. So that was the first thing I wanted to talk about is, yeah, we've noticed it, we've seen it, and these pairs are trending more than they normally, really ever have when you study historical data. And because of that, you could either increase the entries or you could totally eliminate the pairs that don't perform as well. So I looked at this data and I said, okay, the GBP pairs have been performing the best. So I went ahead last week and I said, I want to start, brand new live accounts running just the GBP pairs. So I actually went ahead and did that, and I got no trades this week. None of them reached their proper entry levels. You can see I went ahead and set up an account with these GBP pairs and Euro AUD because these are the pairs that are performing the best. They're making the most profit, lower risk, and lower drawdown due to their entry settings, as their entry settings were more precise and they were much higher than all the other pairs, meaning they were waiting for much larger movements, which means they also inherently typically are going to collect more profit if you were using the Ghost plus Real take profit setting. But as you see, I went ahead and I set up 2 new accounts, a $1,000 one and a $10,000 one, and we got no trades in these brand new accounts, even with the hour one chart on both of them. Which is obviously going to be looking for, it's going to typically play both sides of the market. As you see, it's playing both sides on Euro AUD, both sides in GBP JPY, and GBP AUD. It's hedging in the Ghost market on those 3 pairs. And you can see that, but still didn't make it really anywhere to its entries on those pairs. So, just interesting stuff. But I did want to start these accounts because, I am fascinated by how well the GBP pairs have been performing when you study that 1 pair data. Now, I asked myself, all right, how are a lot of our other customers doing that are running the GearBox? And, outside of my own accounts, I wanted to share some customer accounts that I've been tracking, I've been studying, and just seeing how people are doing. And, I want to talk about some of their data. So first thing is, here's a, over $100,000 account that's running on GearBox. And you can see that into November as well in December, it got into a higher drawdown. It typically experienced no drawdown, but, November and December, always lower liquidity months. More irregular things tend to happen in the market since there isn't as much liquidity, which again, like I said, the liquidity picks back up here in, about 2 days, and you should see a big difference in how GearBox starts performing as there's a little more volatility and a little more liquid where things aren't just trending one direction for such a long period in time. But still, this account, it had only experienced, almost an 11% drawdown here. It's been doing absolutely incredible. It is running sniper settings. Then I went ahead and, I took a look at another customer's account here. This is a larger account. He does have his balance hidden, but you can see that it as well is up 21%. He's clearly added more money as his absolute gain's gone down a little bit, which typically means they've deposited more into the account, balance hidden, so you can't see. But again, also doing well, lower drawdown, great profit factor. It's actually collected 20,000 pips. That's, absolutely incredible. And its average win has been 206 pips, and its average loss has only been 28. So you can see pretty incredible. It's traded 79 lots. So you can see that account is doing very incredible as well. So, a lot of customers are having a great experience. Another account I was tracking here, it's been doing great. And this account's only experienced a 4% drawdown. He's been doing about 16% monthly. Pretty awesome to see how it's been doing as well. As you can see, I believe this account might be running swing settings. My hypothesis on that is its average loss is bigger than its average win, but it's still overall profitable, and it's been winning 81% of trades. Tells me it might be on swing settings, as its profit factor is also a little bit on the lower end, which typically is going to happen when using swing settings. We can see here another customer account here, a smaller balance. This account started with $714. It's up $340 profit and growing. It's only experienced 11% drawdown on a smaller account. It's got a little bit of a higher profit factor. You can see as well its average wins higher than its average loss. Tells me it's most likely running sniper settings. As well, here's another smaller account that's been running. This is a $250 account that was started. It seems he's added a little bit more money in now, 401 euros, and he's up 183. Been absolutely crushing it, only a 16% drawdown. And then I want to show you an account. I actually don't know what this user is doing, but this got sent to me. And what's so powerful about what I'm about to share with you is for the people that understand the GearBox strategy, they understand GearBox, they understand how to customize it, their risk. There's a lot of really powerful things that you can do. This user, as I mentioned, might be running a little bit more of aggressive settings. They probably are a little more hands-on with their account and their management strategy. They are from Italy, so they don't actually speak English, so I don't actually fully know exactly what they're doing, but GearBox was designed for people like this that just kind of get it. They know how to play with it. They understand the market a little bit, and they might customize things. And this customer has added more money through time, as you can see, as his absolute gain is lower than his real gain. But this account since November 8th is up 82%, which just absolutely incredible. It's kept the drawdown low and 27%. Like I said, they're probably a little bit more hands-on. Profit factor is incredible. Their average wins greater than their average loss. They've collected a good amount of pips, and they've won 92% of trades. So really, really crazy results, right? But I wanted to share this with people because, I've been seeing a lot of customers that have been getting some crazy results like this. And every time I talk to them, they've been very hands-on. They're customizing things. And again, I can't lead with aggressive settings or crazy results like this because it's just not realistic for every person to achieve those kind of results. But I did want to showcase it, as there are customers that are having crazy results like this. They are really customizing GearBox and using it a little bit differently than, say, some of the standard strategies that might be out there. But again, if you get it and you understand your risk parameters and how to use it, there's some insane things you can definitely get into doing. So because of that, let's go ahead and let's take a look at my 25 pair accounts here and kind of talk about some of them. You can see some of these accounts have taken some losses. Many of them were in AUD USD, and some of these pairs that have gotten into some trouble that we showed on the one pair strategy. And because of that, they've hit some stop losses. They're all still in the profit, but many of the accounts had hit some higher drawdown. They got into some trending pairs. But the main thing I love about GearBox is some of these pairs are experiencing massive moves, and we're still really keeping some of the drawdown low on some of these accounts for the kind of moves that have been occurring in the market. because if you really study some of these moves and how many pips many of these pairs have trended in comparison to historical data, you're going to notice that they've been trending for a very long time with little retracement, many of them. And a lot of that's uncertainty in politics, the world, kind of what's going on now. But that's why we have so many risk settings built into GearBox. We have, your balance protection settings. We have your notifications of drawdown, and ultimately, you do have your stop losses and your hard equity protector if you do decide to use it. But for me, the goal is to never really experience, a lot of these higher drawdowns that some people are getting into, but it is happening right now, which is why, like I said, we're going to go ahead and we're going to adjust many of our entries to continue to make it much easier. And a lot of the people who are experiencing some of these drawdowns, they're in trades that started in, the beginning of December or even the end of November. And that's what's been causing some of this. Whereas brand new customers we've been seeing have been kind of coming in and just crushing it, right? They're not experiencing the same. And that's because some of people got stuck in some trends and they've just been lingering for a while, right? They've been trending and they haven't had their retracement, which ultimately, as we all know, markets can typically only go one way for so long. And great thing about GearBox is it can still manage it, and it can hold the risk. So, it's all in your strategy, how you manage it. But it is being experienced on some accounts. You can see this account has definitely taken some losses. We'll take a look just so people can see. You can see we were up 23% and we're up 7 now, right? We've hit some losses. And what were those? They were USD pairs, right? NZD USD and USD CAD. We talked about some of these pairs and increasing their entries, which we've gone ahead and done. So in the newest edition of the GearBox Manager, we should see, really avoiding many of these things, including AUD, USD. And still for myself personally, if you can, I would attempt to eliminate most of the USD pairs when you can, just because, right now with the US dollar, it has been ever weakening, and there's more uncertain times, I would say, for the US dollar ahead right now. So if you can avoid trading the US dollar, most likely it wouldn't be a bad idea, even though those are the Forex majors. Right now, as we've seen, they are trending in one direction. And typically when something's trending in one direction, it might be best to avoid it if you can. So we're going to keep reading through some of the chats here so I can answer some more questions. I see Adam came in here and he said he's up 74% on GearBox for December on a $500 account. That's just absolutely insane, Adam. Congratulations. Brent, great question here. He said, can you explain the difference between running hour 1 and hour 4? By the way, all these accounts I collect data on, these are all on the daily. As we've talked about, the daily is typically going to choose one direction. It sees the market going in a long-term pattern, whereas H1 and H4 are more likely to hedge in the ghost market, as well as end up hedging when real trades hit, because they are playing both sides of the market in the ghost trades, more likely. So, H1 and H4, the difference between those specifically, though, is typically the lower the time frame, the less accuracy you're going to get in your entry and your precision. Ken said, Tyler, sorry if I wasn't paying attention. The update will include updated entry levels on the pairs from last week. Yeah, Ken, so the newest gear update to the GearBox Manager being rolled out today has the updated entry settings that I shared here. So if you were to compare it to the original data we had here, these are actually going to go up. I'm going to release a new color coordinated chart here later today as well with all of that. But you'll know that AUD CAD's being moved up. So you'll see these move up, right? You'll see AUD JPY move up, AUD USD move up in their entries. And we'll release a new color coordinated chart later today. I have to finish making it. I made a blank one here and I just got to change the spots. So that'll get released later today. But yes, that will be updated. And then you'll just have to hit the strategy you want on your GearBox Manager again, and it'll update those entries to your choosing. Nick said, I'm going through the Forex education with the Daisy. Is there a point that I'll get to where setting up my FX book will be explained? Nick, that's actually a video that I'm going to be filming this weekend, and it'll be getting added to, I believe, the EA Academy for each section, a little more advanced knowledge. I don't know if it'll be an AP Academy or EA Academy. I have to check with our education directors on that, but I am filming that video this week. Alex Fontaine said he hit a stop loss on NZDJPY on a couple of his accounts. He'll be increasing the gear entry to 4 to 5 for Sniper as well, and increasing his pip stop loss to 700. Yep. Alex, that's not a bad idea. I understand that. Sebastian, yes, the entries will be automatically updated to those updates here once you just choose the strategy again in your Gearbox manager. Once that update comes out, I will make an announcement in our Gearbox Telegram as soon as that comes out so that people can see those updated entries and can also go ahead and do that. And yes, Corey, I will share that spreadsheet once I make the updated one later tonight, and we will be actually adding it into the EA Academy and the AP Academy. So you'll see it somewhere above some of the videos for setup and different things like that. A lot of people have been asking for it. So I'm going to go ahead and update all the entries, and then we'll be putting it inside the AP and the EA Academy. Sebastian said, as far as USD pairs, what should folks use instead? I'm going to tell you, Sebastian, really, if you can, just eliminate the USD pairs and run the other ones for now until the US dollar gets a little more stable or whatnot. But right now, the US dollar is just, like I said, it's been kind of ever weakening. There's definitely a lot going on right now. There's been a lot of inflation recently and things like that. And, for the most part, I would attempt to try and avoid them if you can, just because of how they've been performing and how much they've been trending lately. Again, some people might choose to continue to run them. I'm going to continue to run them on those one pair accounts to get data for everybody because, I'm big on data. I'm willing to risk money to get data always so that we have it, because data is important to continuing to enhance the strategy and optimize Gearbox. Pepper Bradford said, has the 14 pip TP issue been fixed? He had 3 winning trades this past week with him. Pepper, that is actually a great question. And yes, in the update we've been rolling out today, so far in our testing, we have not been seeing the 7 or the 14 pip take profits. They've been resorting to their 30 and 60 on real trades and WTP. And we should hopefully see the same thing. It should also hopefully, fix any issues with the TPs not updating on a sequence. So we will see that also in the Gearbox update. So we have a manager update and a Gearbox update coming today. Philip said, if you are in higher drawdown with USD pairs, do you have any suggestions on how to get out before we remove them? Philip, I would understand your risk management strategy and your plans, and what your max risk is. And also, are you using your balance protector? What's your strategy? But for the most part, as we know, the balance protector is built in to stop taking any new trades after 25% drawdown, which, can play in your favor or could just have you stuck in drawdown for a longer period of time. But at least you're still alive and in the game, which is always why we build those risk management strategies. Because in trading, it's about staying in the game, not, cost averaging to attempt to get out of a trend. If the trend's going to keep going, sometimes you might just want to hold on until it gets back to where it needs to go. But that being said, I have USD pairs that I'm stuck in on some accounts. And, for me, I have my balance protection kicked in. It's not taking any new trades. I'm holding those trades until we get to a more reasonable point where I can look for an exit out of them at a small loss or even a break-even point. So for those of you who might be experiencing some of that in the USD pairs, the goal is to try and look for ways to get out of them. Alex, great question here. Let me go back to the one pair data, by the way. He said, it seems that every time an update gets sent out, it messes up his Gearbox, or some pairs end up not having Gearbox software on them. He says he runs about 15 accounts, so it's big time consuming to go through and re-add and make any adjustments, especially when the VPS slows down freeze. And there's 3 Gearboxes and 1 VPS. To answer that question, Alex, so the first thing is the reason that sometimes happens is if you are running 3 Gearboxes on 1 VPS, these VPSs don't have as much processing power ideally as Gearbox would like. We are working on an optimized version of Gearbox where it's going to be speeding up the process a lot. We've been testing it heavily, and that's not coming out today, but I'll tell you, we have been working on really optimizing the speed and performance to get it to work much smoother on the current VPSs we have. But the reason that happens is because of how robust it is. When we make an update and you're running 3 terminals with 25 charts, sometimes it times out and it doesn't get to refresh on all the pairs. So currently there's no way to stop that from happening besides limiting how many gearboxes you might currently have on one VPS. But I will tell you, we are really working hardcore on a big update to the gearbox where the plan is to actually make it where the EA only runs on one chart. You'll have all the charts open with the settings, but the physical EA will actually run on one chart. That's our plan, so that it's not as robust and consuming to the entire application known as MetaTrader 4. So great question, Alex, and we are working on a lot of enhancements and optimizations for that. Alex, we have not made it possible yet to change the stop loss on open trades. That is on our features list of updates and features, just to kind of run you guys through the next 90 days and kind of our plans for GearBox so everybody knows. And, I'll just put this, I'll show this and I'll actually type it up. I want you guys to all see kind of what's the next 90 days look like for GearBox, right? Do you guys, let me know in the chat, do you guys want to know what the next 90 days for GearBox looks like? All right. So the next 90 days for GearBox, let's get into it. So the first thing is we're heavily working on the optimized gearbox. So when I say optimized gearbox, I mean speed enhancements. So we've gone back and forth on, do we offer upgraded VPS that cost more, or can we make GearBox run better? So the first thing we want to do is we want to really try to make GearBox run better. So we talked about making it to where actually the GearBox runs inside the GearBox manager. Runs inside GearBox manager. That's the first thing we wanted to do, where you actually are going to have each chart open with the settings, but the physical EA will become the manager and it'll run inside the manager. The other thing is we want to update the manager update to have every GearBox setting built in. What does this mean? We've had a lot of requests. Every GearBox setting built in. We've had a lot of requests where people are saying, hey, I love the manager, but I hate that if I want to not delete ghost trades automatically, or if I want to change my stop loss, or I want to do this on all these pairs, I got to go do it manually, right? So we wanted to make it where you can actually update every setting to your liking from the manager and hit a button and it'll apply it. So that was one of the first things. So we wanted to have a manager update to have every GearBox setting built into it. So that'll also become the updated manager that has the GearBox running inside of it, and then each chart open with the settings, but it won't be the EA running. So essentially what this looks like is it'll look like the manager is the EA. Everything's running on only one chart. So you don't have 25 EAs running. You have one, right? But it's scanning all the 25 pairs still. It's just operating from one chart, and each other chart would be almost like a placeholder for the setting. So that's something we've been working on. We've been really testing. That's one of our first things we want to get out, is this optimized GearBox. Next, we've been working hard on what's known as the GearBox simulator. This is something that we started a while ago, but as we've been continuing to enhance GearBox, it's kind of been put on the back burner. But some of you have maybe noticed that GearBox, you can't really back test because of its strategy and how it works. It's kind of not very easy to back test it and understand that data. So we've been building out a simulator, and this will be almost like its own application. We're still going to probably have to figure out how it's going to work with our current VPS management system, but we'll get there when this product's fully finished. But the GearBox simulator is essentially going to allow you to run your strategy through years of historical data and actually see a simulation of what is to come, or what could have possibly been experienced. So this is really one of the big things for our next 90 days. And then we want to talk about new functionalities, right? What are those functionalities that we want to add? All right. So first thing is, once GearBox is completely, what we would say, bug free, right? There's very minimal bugs in GearBox right now, but there's still a few that, occasionally we see in support tickets, and we've been working on heavily and getting that perfect is completely bug free. And some of this came down to TP issues. Sometimes It doesn't re-enter ghost trades, which that, tends to be actually a performance issue with the VPS, which is why we're working on the optimized gearbox, right? So once we have all those things perfect, as in reopen new ghost trade. So once we have all those things perfect, then what we're going to go ahead and get into, one of those questions was ability to change stop loss on existing sequences from inside the EA, meaning that you go in and change the stop loss on a specific chart, and it would apply that new stop loss to all the already existing trades. That's been a big requested feature. None of our other softwares do that in this marketplace yet, and it's something that we do want to be able to do, as we did do it with the take profit settings, as many people know. So we want to be able to do it with stop loss settings. And then the big feature that we want to get involved after that is going to be trailing stop losses beyond levels 1. So what does this mean? It means that we want to be able to have trailing stop losses that exist, on those higher gears. So yeah, you've maybe sometimes noticed you've had trades in profit and then they end up in drawdown and then cost averaging again, and you could have been out of them with profit. I'll give you an example. The NZD JPY trade that I'm stuck in on my 50K account, I'll be straight up. If we had trailing stop losses, that account, that trade would have actually closed in profit a long time ago. And instead it's lingered and ended me up in a massive, drawdown. A large account I wasn't very comfortable with, right? This account hadn't had the 5% drawdown until the NZD JPY trade, but this trade was at one point in profit. I'll tell you as well, had I been using a double take profit setting instead of Ghost plus Real, I also would not have ended up in this trade. I would have been out of it and never had experienced this drawdown either, because Ghost plus Real is always going for a much larger move, meaning that is possible, that can happen. That's why I always told people that Ghost plus Real is a little bit more of a hands-on setting, because it does have the possibility that it trades in big profit and then ends up in drawdown because it didn't hit its take profit and you didn't close out. So because of that, that's a big feature. We want to get trailing stop losses added in, and then after that, we want to work on what's known as a pro hedging feature. This is going to be a very advanced feature. This is going to be one of the last things to come. Pro hedging feature. So you might ask what that means. And this is almost going to be, its own strategy, where if something just goes against you for so long, we want to make it to where it also starts to hedge out any loss that's there, so your drawdown stays low, so that you don't experience a higher drawdown. So again, this will be almost its own strategy. That might even be built into its own EA that kicks on when the normal gearbox gets into a big move or something goes against it, right? We have to play with that a lot, but it's something we've been doing a lot of digging on historical data to figure out, okay, at what point would we want to start hedging? How big of a position do we take, and where do you cut the hedge, right? Those are the main questions we have to continue to ask ourselves and run through historical data. But this is what the next 90 days is going to look like for Gearbox. So if you're excited about these updates and what the next 90 days of Gearbox looks like, go ahead and let me know in the chat box, right? Because these are some big things. These are things we've been working on. We've been going back and forth and saying, how can we continue to just make this one of the best products on the market, continue to decrease risk and increase profitability? Because that's always our goal, right? We want to continue to release and enhance this product to be one of the best trading products in the market. So that's what we're looking at, over the next 90 days, to continue to just enhance the trading strategy, increase the precision, and decrease any potential risk and drawdown. That is really what our plans look like. And we hope you're excited about those, and excited about the fact that you have such an active development team behind the Gearbox, that we look at this, we see the data, we see customers' accounts, we see what's going on in the market, and we continue to say to ourselves every single day, how do we make this product better? How do we make users have a better experience? And how can we give users a better grasp of what their risk looks like, right? Which is why we've been focusing a lot also on the simulator. It's why we've been focusing on optimizing the Gearbox. It's why we have a list of new features we want to add. So I'm glad that many of you are loving what's to come. So do know that this is our top focus, and these are the things that are on our plate over the next 90 days to get out. to every single one of you, and this will all start rolling out kind of in the order that we talked about here. Our first goal is enhancing the gearbox itself, then to get a gearbox simulator out there so that customers have more control over their risk and understanding kind of their strategy and how it would have performed through historical data. And then after that, we want to add in all these new functionalities to really just give you more power and continue to make it a better product. But that's going to be super, super awesome. I'm going to get back into the chat box here and go through any more questions that exist. I'm also going to pull back up this one pair data because I know a lot of people love to continue to see it. So let's see what we got going on here in the chat. Okay. All right. I see a question. They said they don't understand. Ivan here said he does not understand why GearBox didn't open a trade at the start of the week, even though he has the option clear ghost trades at the start of the new week. Market clearly did not make a 207 pip move, but is open a level 5 sell trade. Ivan, I'm not sure if you are an international customer, an MAV customer, but I do believe I know why this happened, and this is actually something that we have addressed in the update coming out today. There was something going on where it didn't happen very often, but we noticed that some pairs still weren't deleting the ghost trades. So, at the start of the week, you might have had, if you're running 25 pairs, maybe 23 of them reset and 2 didn't, but continued to linger. We actually picked up on this bug and added that into our update that's coming out today. So that should never happen again for you, but that should be the answer to your question there, Ivan, and you'll get a response from support about that as well today. Brent said he's been having issues with only longing or shorting to mitigate risk. He said, if I choose only long and GearBox activates a short, it continually throws errors and doesn't allow longs in the future. Variable had an only long or short option setting. I'll go ahead and get with my programmer on this, Brent, and also take a look at your account to see the logs and see how we can work on that, as I do see what you're saying, and I'm imagining it's throwing an issue because of the ghost server, because by default, the base algorithm should work with the only longs or only shorts feature, but I'm assuming the ghost server is causing it to throw an error there. So I'm going to take a look at your logs and your account. If you just, want to put a support ticket with the username that this account's on, and just say address to Tyler to look at the longs and shorts thing. I think you might have already done it. I'm going to be looking through more of those support tickets today. So I'll take a look at your account, Brent. Karina said €1,000 account. How many pairs max would you do? Okay, Karina, I'm going to be honest with you. The less pairs, the less risk, right? The more pairs, the more risk, because you're exposing yourself to more pairs that could potentially make a move against you. And with $1,000 account, I typically, ideally wouldn't recommend really more than 3. If you're going to run 6, it is a more moderate strategy. I'll give you an example. I have an account that is a $1,500 account running 6 pairs. It got into its highest drawdown recently. Actually hit a small stop loss here, lost about 4%. It is a $1,500 account, and it was running 6 max pairs on swing settings. You can see as well the USD pairs and AUD JPY and USD CAD. You can see some of these pairs have been terrorizing it a little, right? The USD pairs. And my goal is, as I mentioned, to try and get out of most USD pairs going forward for now, until there's a little less uncertainty with the US dollar, the current presidency, a lot of things going on right now in the US market. The goal is to hopefully try to get out of many of these pairs. And for most people, we should see a good opportunity to do that over the next coming days as the liquidity increases in the marketplace and, many banks start trading again and getting back into the work. DeWald said, can we get access to this pairs data you have in swing trades to see what pairs we prefer to trade? If you're meaning the one pair data right here, that are all on swing, the data is right here. You could take a screenshot of it if you want real quick. I share it on every call as well. I am going to mention and update, this chart here with all the coordinated entries. I'm going to make a new one and release it today in the chat as well. It'll get added in the EA Academy and AT Live once I'm done. This one is still with the old settings, but this will be updated to match right here, what we have going on. So we will go ahead and make those updates. Tomislav, this is a great question. He said, would you recommend rather increasing lot or increasing pairs traded? You know, this is kind of a question that for me personally, I'm going to tell you firsthand that either one, I would never do both. They both are going to produce pretty similar experiences. But I would tell you that increasing the lot, for me, I think, depending on, you know, how big your account is, could be the less risky strategy. Because again, when you have more pairs being traded, you also are exposing yourself to more potential risk in the market. But you're also doing the same thing by increasing your lot. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. You have to kind of decide, okay, what are the pros and cons of each? So let's talk about it. First, if you're just increasing your lot, the cons. You could have a period where you get stuck in 3 pairs that are just consolidated and you get stuck in them for a long time, right? It's happening on my 50K account. I'm running 3 pairs in a larger lot. You know, I've just been stuck in consolidation for a good period of time on NZD, JPY, AUD, JPY, some of these pairs. Whereas maybe if I had a lower lot and I was increasing my pairs traded, the pro in that situation could be that maybe I actually am stuck in 3, but the other 3 are continuing to exit and make profits, right? So, you know, it's like I said, it's a double-edged sword. Or, you know, you also have the potential that all 6 could go against you and, you know, you get stuck in consolidation. So like I said, it's a little bit of a double-edged sword in that question. So you kind of have to decide for yourself. Would, you know, I rather increase my pairs and give myself a chance to potentially enter more trades that are profitable while some maybe get stuck in consolidation, or would I rather make more profit on a few pairs I'm more confident in? You know, so like I said, double-edged sword. Philip said, after adding a second gearbox to my VPS, I received several alerts on MT4, but they were not in my back office to be approved. I didn't even see them in the journal. Any idea why the alerts but no real trades? Philip, this is actually something where you might have somebody else's account connected. And what I mean is you might have, when you validated your gearbox, I'm not sure if you have customers you've referred or you've ever logged into anyone else's AP account on your computer. But what we've often seen happen in that scenario is you might have accidentally authorized your second gearbox on someone else's account in VPS, or not on their VPS, on your VPS, but somebody else's AP account. We've seen this happen very often, actually. What you're going to want to go ahead and do is submit a support ticket and say that you believe, you know, put your gearbox that's listed there, and just say you believe your gearbox account is connected to somebody else's back office, and ask them if they can go ahead and log you out, meaning unauthorize your current gearbox account, and then you'll go and reauthorize and just make sure you're logged into the proper back office. But that is a common problem we have seen, Philip, and I'm assuming that's exactly the same problem you're currently seeing there. The other thing that can happen, I know you said you didn't see them in the journal, but you would see them in the experts, not the journal, by the way. So look in the experts tab as well. DeWald, the update on adding the additional gear entry to pairs you mentioned. Do we have to manually update, or will the Gearbox Manager automatically adjust to the new gear entries? DeWald, once the new Gearbox Manager update is out later tonight, and I put the update in the Telegram, you're going to be able to just go ahead and hit which strategy we're using, set your max pairs and your lot as normal, and it's going to update all the entries for you. Philip said more pairs is better than higher lots. You increase your chance for the original pairs to break the trend and make profit for you instead of getting stuck. Yep, that if that's how you feel about it, Philip, you know, like I said, there's pros and cons to both strategy. But in that example, yes, you know, if you get stuck in 3 and the other 3 are making profit, that's better than being stuck in 3 consolidated pairs with larger lots, right? So again, it is a little bit of a double-edged sword question. It's all personal preference. I'm going to keep reading through the questions here. Matt Jazz, I see your question. You said Gearbox opened 2 AUD CAD positions. It closed 1 trade with smaller TP and the second trade later. Is it okay? Your system should close both at the same time when they reach TP? Matt Jazz, it should close both with a TP. We have seen some examples where if you're using double take profit, it's been having errors modifying some take profits on cost averages. That should be addressed in today's update, and we really hope it is. We've been doing some testing. We haven't seen these double TPs, but it seems some people that have been experiencing that problem it's been from older versions and trades that have been lingering for, past weeks. But we should hopefully have that addressed in today's update. Matt Jazz also said, my friends have the same settings that I have, but he has a different broker than I. GearBox opens different trades than mine. Why is that? It's an important entry point. What time zone broker haven't I? So Matt Jazz, the reason this happens is, first, everybody's GearBox is going to trade completely differently. You could have the same exact settings as your friend and also be on the same broker. You guys are first on different brokers, so that is an extra variable. But even if you were on the same broker, the reason this happens is everybody's GearBox trades a little bit differently, as it's about what tick you get into the market. And if you don't know what tick, I mean, exactly when it starts trading on each and every single pair, what date is there. On some brokers, somebody might just get out of a ghost trade and you might still be in one. It depends on the slippage, the market data, kind of what's going on there. But with that being said, you could be running 3 max pairs scanning 25, and he could be doing the same thing, and he might get in 3 different pairs than you, right? The reason that happens again is on what tick, it happens in the market. If I have set on daily graph only after gear 2 entry point, the EA looks just inside current day to reach 3 level when EA starts trade, or also past time trade. Now, broker time's not important. Yes, Matt says, anytime you change the lot size or max open trades in GearBox Manager, the EA resets all current ghost gears in the chart. Yes, GearBox is starting from the start. If you make changes midweek to the GearBox, or you hit OK, or you make changes to your settings, it will reset your ghost gears. It's very important, that you set your settings at the beginning of the week, that you are comfortable with, and that you shouldn't have to make any updates. Now, if you have open trades open already on a pair, it won't mess with it, right? So, like, for example, let's say you're trying to manage a trade, for example, AUD USD. Maybe you want to go in there, you have open trades on it, and you might want to say, okay, don't take any more trades, change my max levels to 0. So it just stops taking any new trades, or maybe your balance protector hasn't kicked in, whatever it is. If you already have open trades, you can modify the settings and it'll continue to manage it. But if you don't have open trades on a specific pair and you change your settings, it's going to reset your ghost trades. So that will happen. John said, I'm new. How do you manually close a trade that was opened by GearBox? Well, John, you would go ahead into your VPS or on your MetaTrader 4 on your mobile phone, and you could go ahead and manually close that. We do have videos all inside the EA Academy, but just for simplicity, we could go ahead and I don't have any open trades open on this account, but you would go over here to trade, and you would actually see in your trade open on your VPS, you'd see an X right here next to the trade, and you can just go ahead and hit X, and you'd be able to close your trade manually. Super simple. All right. Great question here from Christopher. He said, does GearBox get messed up if we manually enter a trailing stop? Will GearBox enter back in a trade if I manually add a trailing stop and it was hit? I'd have to look at that specific account, Christopher, to understand, manually entering a trailing stop. Typically GearBox is going to reset the stop losses back on each pair if you change them. So, the best way, if you want to make manual changes to take profits or stop losses, if you're trying to do a little more hands-on management, is typically just go into a specific pair and turn off allow live trading, and you should be able to make manual changes to your TP or stop loss by just doing that to get out of the trade or whatever you're looking to do. But if you have allow live trading on, typically it's going to resort the stop losses back typically. So, just so you know. All righty. I'm not seeing any more questions here. So I'm going to get into a little insight for the next week. Let's go ahead and take a look at Forex Factory. And we're going to take a look at the news for the next week and take a look at what's going on so that we can see best how to handle our accounts this coming week. All righty. So as you see, there is very little red folder going on this week. We do see that we have USD, the Fed chair is going to speak. That's sometimes a bigger event. It can move the market. It's one of those bigger red folders for the US dollar, as well as retail sales and core retail sales on Friday. Some of these things might help us get out of USD pairs. As I said, there's going to be more liquidity after the 10th back in the marketplace. A lot of banks start trading a little bit better. You see, Sunday, it's bank holiday for JPY. So, for those of you stuck in JPY trades, Sunday is going to be a little bit slower. You probably won't see much movement. Hopefully through the rest of the week, you'll start to see more, but most of it's just red and or not red, yellow and orange folder news. Nothing too crazy. The few red folders that exist are all US dollar. So lots of good stuff there. Doesn't look like too crazy of a week. As I mentioned, we should see the liquidity pick back up this week. There is a lot of news though this week, just not a lot of red folder news, but you do see a lot of different news events. So hopefully we see some volatility, some movements in the market, which equals some new trades and some new opportunities for everybody here. But nothing too crazy. Let's see. All right. Sebastian, I see, said, if we are jumping on a USD pairs and folks are still in some USD pair trades, what do you recommend them to do? Run the trades out and allow live trading off for those individual pairs until it turns profit, close out and then close. So Sebastian, what I'd recommend is, I can't recommend anything, but how I'm managing my USD pairs is, first off, I'm not going to be taking any new trades right now on USD pairs unless that account's under 25% drawdown. So I'm not going to do anything to my settings. I'm going to let my balance protector continue to not take any new trades, because if you're in 25% drawdown, you shouldn't take any new cost averages anyways. So your balance protector will do that by default. And I'm just going to hold out on those pairs until they turn around. And then once they do turn around, I'm going to go ahead and close them out on my VPS and not run them on my accounts besides the one pair account. I will continue, as I mentioned, running USD pairs here on these accounts just to continue to get data. But on all my other accounts, I'm going to go ahead and eliminate USD pairs from the 25 that are being ran and take it down to the 18 minors instead of the 25 minors and majors together. So that's going to be a little bit of my plan there. Adam, yes, your question you asked about what will happen if you leave the ghost trades for the next week. So leaving the ghost trades running for the next week is always going to typically be a little bit of a riskier strategy. And the reason I say that is you're more likely to get new trades, yes, but you also have to remember that there is the possibility that the trend that was valid that you were in the ghost server this week, maybe next week some news comes out and that trend is just not one you wanted to be in. Maybe you wanted to reset it and get a more accurate entry. And if you don't reset it, you are likely to potentially get more trade opportunities, but you're also have the possibility you get in a trend that goes longer than you wanted to be in it. Philip, great question. He said, with Biden being officially sworn to office on the 20th, do you anticipate the market making big moves? And if so, will GearBox handle the high volatility well? The first thing is typically volatility is GearBox friend, but that's volatility, right? The market going both ways. When the market is just trending in one direction for a long period of time, and when I say a long period of time, I mean weeks at a time, which is kind of what's been happening in November and December. That's not any EA like GearBox's trend, but it can handle the volatility as we've seen, but it doesn't also make the profit typically that you want if you get stuck in a trend. But I do see it being fine. The main thing though is to attempt to get out of USD pairs if you can, as I mentioned, because there is a lot of just uncertainty around the US dollar, the US politics right now, a lot of different things. So trying to avoid the US dollar is always going to be a little bit of the best bet. Eric said he'd like to know if him going in and changing the lot size will reset everything you do, meaning do I have to go in and reset something up if I do that? Eric, if you make the lot size change, the best is to change your lot size only on the weekends before the market opens, because if you do make a change during the week, it is going to reset the ghost trades. And you could have had a pair that was super close to your entry, and now you go ahead and you change the lot size or a setting, and now it resets the ghost trades, and it's basically starting over. Great question, Christopher. He said, if your hit risk management settings and GearBox is not taking new trades, will GearBox continue to take trades on active trades at higher gears? If your balance protection is hit at 25% drawdown, it is currently not going to continue to take any active trades at higher gears. If you do want it to do that, you can always go in and increase your balance protection, or if you are a more advanced user, you could always go and manually take a trade to match the level you would have wanted to take, and just, match the take profit to the sequence of trade above, right? That's always an option as well. But those are the two ways to get it to take another trade, because remember, if the risk management settings hit in 25% by default, it's going to stop taking any new trades and just managing your current open trades. So it will continue to manage the open trades and strategies, but it will not take any new trades on your account if that is hit. So you can either go increase it, or if you're a more advanced user, you can always go manually take that next level if you really want to. Will the manual trade mess with GearBox? In this case, the manual trade would not mess with GearBox because your balance protection setting has been activated, meaning that the balance protection is not going to take any new trades, so that manual trade will not affect anything. Now, if your balance protection setting is not hit and you manually take a trade, yes, it has the potential to mess with GearBox, as it will pick up that manual trade and add it to the Ghost server, which can confuse GearBox if the balance protection setting isn't hit, because it'll see it as if you took a level, or it'll say, like I said, if you take any manual trades on GearBox, it's typically going to add them to the Ghost server. The reason for this is the portability feature in GearBox, meaning that if you had to get a new VPS or something, you want it to still be able to pick up active trades and manage them. So same thing would happen if you manually take a trade. It's going to add it to the Ghost server. But if your balance protection settings hit, it will not do anything or take any new trades, so it won't affect it. So like I said, it depends on if you can choose either or. You can either raise the balance protection and it'll take that next trade, or you can manually take that next trade to take that level. All right. John said, when GearBox recommends a trade and you reject it, will it still look for additional trades? John, yeah, if you GearBox sends you a trade alert and you reject it, it's going to continue to scan all the other pairs for trades. When you do that, it's going to simply reset the Ghost gears on that pair typically, and continue to scan other pairs. Matt Jazz said, is it okay if I just change on one graph max open trades from 5 to 6 and will be used for all currency pairs? So if you want to change it for every currency pair, you're going to have to change it on all charts. If you change your max open trades on just one pair, it's only going to apply to that one pair, Matt Jazz. That setting is not global, it is individual, because there are some pairs, for example, like the GBP pairs, that you have your max level set at 12, whereas there's other pairs like your Euro USD and AED USD and stuff like that, where the max open trades is 8. The reason for that is when it says max open trades, it also is calculating the Ghost trades. So let's say you're entering on a level 4 and you have max trades 8. That means you can actually only take 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Because 7 is considered 8 because 0 is considered 1. So basically, it includes the Ghost trades also in that. So if you have your max set to 8 and you enter in 4, you're not actually able to enter 8 trades. You're only able to enter 4 to 7 because 7 is considered 8. If that makes sense. Oh, max pairs. Matt says, yes, max pairs. If you increase your max pairs, okay, so this works 2 different ways. When you increase your max pair setting, that is a global setting, meaning that you don't have to change it on every chart, but because it is in the manager, you might as well change it in the manager if you'd like, and it can apply to all charts, but that is a global setting if you increase it, not if you decrease it, meaning it will take the highest setting for max pairs. So if you have all your charts set to 3 and you increase 1 to 4, it will take 4. That's not a problem. Now, if you have all your pairs set to 3 and you decrease 1 to 2, it's still going to read 3 for your max pairs. So it works different depending on if you're increasing or decreasing, if that makes sense. It's going to read the highest number you have for max pairs and apply that globally to your entire account. I see Adam said, anyone try Super Sniper H1? I know there's customers doing it. It is going to be waiting for a much more precise opportunity, but what's cool about the lower time frame is you are going to be more likely to hedge both sides of the market, meaning anytime that movement does occur, you're more likely to enter that trade. But I do see so far that that is all the questions so far. So I appreciate everybody tuning into this call. We've been here for about an hour. It's typically how long we like these calls to go for. Anything longer sometimes starts to linger. I believe this was an extremely productive call. I hope that you guys gained a lot of value from this and a lot of insight into the upcoming update, the upcoming plans for GearBox over the next 90 days, and us continuing to make this product the best possible product for you, and continue to optimize it to the market conditions, right? Because that's the most important thing. The market conditions are ever changing. So our goal is to continue to make sure that we are keeping up with the market conditions so that you guys can have the best experience all around and continue to get the best results with the least risk possible using the GearBox strategy. So thank you again all for tuning in on this beautiful Friday, and I hope you all have a wonderful weekend.